Good. Yep. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I know it's kind of soggy, and for some of us, that was a bit of a mess to get here, but I know we really appreciate it. And so for those who aren't familiar with what we're doing here at Data Plus Women DC, is we really want to provide an opportunity for women and men to network, and also really encourage some of and promote some of the softer, what I'll call softer skills, whether that's addressing talking and addressing issues such as confidence gap, or just maybe some of the challenges that women face in data and tech, or STEM, if you even want to extend it out that far. We generally, because there are so many meetup groups in this area that do focus on technical skills, we're not specifically focused on that. However, we do, we want women in particular, we want them to show up. But when you show up, you've got to be able to demonstrate some skills, right? So tonight's meetup is going to be more on the technical side, but really just 10-minute discussions about different tools. So we've got Brittany Fong, who is talking about Tableau in 10 minutes. We also have presentations on D3 and Python as well. So I'll kick it over to Erin and Brittany to introduce more of the technical talk discussion. Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to do announcements too, right? Yeah. Sorry, I jumped ahead. Yeah. I'm so excited. I jumped ahead.
Really pumped with presentations.
I am. I love it so much. I mean, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I thought it was clever. Python, not just a snake. I cracked myself up. I cracked myself up. So we want to open. So one of the things that I in particular, but what we really like to do is to have open announcements. So this is an opportunity if you know of any job openings, if you have meetups, if you've got something going on that might be of interest to our group, just raise your hand, say it out loud, and get the message out there. So I'll open it up to anybody. I have one, but I'll save it. Yeah, go for it. Sure.
I just wanted to say that we have a Pan-Asian community called Ascent. We have the Greater Washington chapter for it, and we are offering a conference, which is their annual conference. It's going to be on November 12th, right here in Rockland. That's not here, but the higher end of Rockland. And the thing is, it's going to be focused towards Pan-Asian leadership, and also they're going to be having a lot of people sponsors. I mean, maybe one of the big fours. So if anybody is interested, let me know. Julie is also a good point of contact, and she'll have the information soon so that she can pass it along, or she can point to me and I can share more information about it. But just wanted to thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything else going on?
One announcement.
Sure.
Just wanted to thank Deloitte for sponsoring the food. And
Yes.
Thanks, Deloitte.
Yay, thank you,
The last
Deloitte.
minute message just happened, so I just wanted to, make that announcement.
Absolutely. I also want to mention, I actually have founded a virtual conference for, this is focused on Tableau, virtual presentations, or presentations in a virtual conference setting. And so we held one earlier this year where presenters from the US and the UK presented. We've got some presenters in the room that were really awesome. Caesar and Erin, their presentation rocked. But I'm super excited because we actually have expanded out and are doing one for APAC next Friday, October 7th. I'll provide the links in the Meetup app. But it's really great, even if you can't attend because the time zones are wacky, at least for me. You can register still and get emails with the recording links. So we record them and then put them up on YouTube for viewing later. So it's really nice. There's going to be one on how to make Tableau an app for the enterprise. That's one I'm super excited about. There's also one about the journey into how someone went from doing dentistry to being a data business intelligence consultant. So I think that that's just fascinating. So there are ones about data science and how Tableau can really help you get why you don't need to be a data scientist to explore and get insight into your data. So lots of good stuff, but I wanted to throw that out there so that you had you had that information if you're interested.
And Data Plus Women, or on a podcast called Positive Biz Podcast.
Yeah.
Which is available now on positivebizz.com.
Yep.
And our episode is number 57. It's posted on our meetup, and I sent emails out already, but we'll post it again after this event. Okay.
One other plug, sorry. So a collection of feminist technology groups in DC called DC Femtech is actually holding a month of tech talks and things. It's called DC Femtech's Tour de Code. So this could be, this is a nice, you can check out their website and see a listing of almost every day of the week. They have different, sometimes free, sometimes non-free workshops and things. So we definitely recommend checking them out. I've personally done some of their intro to Python classes, and it's been really fun. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Any other announcements or anything? Yeah. Oh, October. Yeah. Next week. Oh, not this month?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. What's up?
It's Monday, pre-conference. You know what? I don't know the specific time.
We
I'll
can
have
find
to
out.
look it up. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah. I don't think. There's also a Sunday night informal meetup. So if you can come
Yeah,
Sunday.
the Tableau conference is happening November 7th through 11th.
Yeah.
The pre-conference event will be probably 6th.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to attend it a little bit earlier?
Quick
Happening.
conference shout out too. Emily and I are co-hosts
Yeah.
of the Tableau Government User Group. So if you are in the federal government space, feel free to drop by. We're having a user group at the conference.
Yeah.
Please come by and say.
Yeah, our user group is virtual usually, but this is going to be a meetup so that we can just have everybody, in one room and make some connections that way. So. I'm not sure because I think that some folks from EPA have registered for some of our prior user group meetings. But to tell you the truth, I just don't recall. Tableau really manages the event logistics for us. So, but yeah, it's open actually to all government. So not just federal, but state, local, and government agencies, quasi-government as well, like Tennessee Valley Authority.
So feel free to drop by.
I think some of the Tableau guys will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks. All right.
So
Cool.
we'll get started. And Brittany, are you ready?
Yep.
All right. So Tableau is Brittany's.
All right. It's mine.
Wow, that's a lot of power you have, Brittany. For those who don't know, Brittany is a rock star when it comes to Tableau. She deserves a really good intro.
Okay. Do you want to jump in with the intro?
Yeah, go
Sure.
for it.
So she's a senior developer of visual analytics at the EW Scripps Company, and she's also an adjunct faculty member at Montgomery College. She's been teaching about creating effective data visualizations in Tableau since 2012, and she's a Tableau Ambassador, organizer of the DC Tableau User Group, which is a really great quarterly event. Also an organizer of this user group, or this meetup group, and she's received her BA from the University of Cincinnati. So,
All right.
thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany.
Thanks. Welcome. All right. So this is going to be Tableau in 10 minutes, and that's me. All right. So Erin basically did this, but that's fine. Just to go over it again, I work for Scripps, and I do a lot of Tableau development for them. And I'm a Tableau ambassador. I'm, of course, helping with this, organize this group, and I'm also the leader for the Tableau User Group in DC, which I'll get to later, actually. All right, so what is Tableau? It is a data discovery and visualization tool. It's used to create different visualizations that are interactive and dashboards, and it's also used to share them with, you know, your larger audience, whether that's online or mobile, like on their iPad or your phone. And it is a read-only tool, so that means I can't mess up the database or I can't change the data. So like when you're using Tableau, don't be afraid to try new things. Like you're not gonna mess up your data in the back end and then like everyone's gonna be mad at you or something. Like there's no writing back. And once we get into it, you'll see that the developer interface is drag and drop. So everything that I can do is pretty much done with my mouse. And you can connect to multiple types of data sources. So in this picture, I have a list of the data sources that are currently in 10, and they're always adding new ones. So they actually do surveys about it too. So if there's like a data type that you're using and, you know, they don't have a connector for it, then they're more than happy to, you know, hear you out and try to develop something. And there are numerous possibilities in the types of visualizations and analysis. So we'll get into that. There's a lot of flexibility. It's easy to make, you know, a simple visualization. And then once you know more about the tool, you can actually do some pretty creative out of the box things. Any questions about that? Okay. So it's a little confusing. Tableau has a bunch of different products, and if you're not familiar with them, you're not going to know what you need. So in the top two bubbles, we have Tableau Desktop and Tableau Public. So those are the developer tools. That's where you're going to be making things for the users to see. So Tableau Desktop has two versions. So there's one where you can connect to just flat files, and then there's one where you can connect to, you know, all your different servers, SQL Server, MySQL, whatever it might be. And then Tableau Public is similar to the flat version, so like where you can only connect to flat files, except it is free. So everything that, yeah, so anything that you do with Public, you can download it for free, you can share it for free. The only caveat being that it is public. So you don't want to put anything up there that is secure, you don't want to put anything financial up there, like technically anyone can find it. So down below in the like second row, in the second tier, those are all of the different sharing tools. So they have little lock icons so you can see if they're secure or not. And then I guess maybe I should add $signs to these. So Tableau Reader is free. It's just like a PDF reader or like a PowerPoint reader. So if someone creates a visualization, they can give it to someone, they can open it with the reader and interact with it. If someone gets the file, they can open it. Like there's no type of security around that. So, and then of course, if they have it, they can, you know, email it to anyone. So not secure. So then there are these two bubbles here. So we have Tableau Server and Tableau Online. So those ones are secure. Those are like Tableau's more robust enterprise sharing tools. And it's, the security is done at a project level, which is basically like a secured folder, like on a shared drive. And so Tableau Server is going to be hosted in your own network, and then Tableau Online is going to be hosted by Tableau. So you don't have to worry about, you know, like the hardware and stuff like that. And then the last bubble in purple, we have Tableau Public. So that's also sharing, and it's on the web, and anything that's up there, anyone can see. Any questions on those? All right. So what does Tableau do? So this is just a quick dashboard that I threw together so I can show you how it works. So I have a graph up here in the top corner of a line graph, which is just showing earnings over time between males and females. And if you hover over these, you know, you get some interactivity there. And then if you come over here, we're doing a comparison by the occupational category. So these pink bars are the female salary, and then this hash mark out here is going to be the male average salary. And if you click on one of these, so like say we want to drill into, let's do management/professional. So if I click on that, this bottom graph is going to be filtered. So this is the difference between the male and female wage. and you can click through the different ones and see how it changes. So that's how it's interactive. All right, so this is a sample dashboard that I made, and I'm gonna walk through how to build this, which is actually pretty quick, and then you'll be able to see how it looks. So right now I'm in Tableau Desktop, and I'm gonna pretend like I'm starting new. And I would come up to the little, well, actually you would start here. So on the left-hand side, you're gonna see the connection window. So I'm gonna connect to an Excel file, but I'm actually just gonna use the shortcut that I have, but you would just, navigate to wherever that file is saved on your computer and open it. All right, so now I have my connection that I made up here, and I have my other ones, so you can connect to multiple connections. I'm just gonna use this one for the demo. So first we have sales by category over time. So I'm going to find my sales, and like I said, I'm doing it all with my mouse. So I'm gonna take my sales and drag this up to rows. And over time, so order date, drag that up. And Tableau is smart in that if it's a date, it already puts it into what they call a hierarchy. So it's gonna start at the year level, and then you can always adjust it to whatever you want. So I'm just gonna move down, do this by month instead. And then we had it broken out by the product category. So I'll take category and put this on to color. That's a lot of categories. I think I wanted department. That's better. All right, and then lastly, I'm just gonna put a filter on here so that I'm only looking at 1 year. So I just have to take my order date and I move it over to where this little filters shelf is and drop it there. And then since it's a date, it's gonna ask you, how do you wanna filter this? I just wanna do it on the year. So I'll select that and next, and just select 1 year and okay. So here's, for the Superstore data, 2013 sales. And let me take a step back and explain what Superstore data is. Kind of forgot about that. So Superstore data is the sample data set that comes with Tableau. Like after you've used Tableau for I would say 2 or 3 months, everyone knows what Superstore is. So it's basically a fake dummy data set where every line or every row in the data is an order, and they sell office supplies and furniture and electronics. All right, so here is our line graph. So next, let's make this guy. So sales by region. So I'm gonna come down and create a new sheet. And I'm gonna find my region and put that onto rows. And take my sales and put it onto columns. And then I can come down here and sort it just so that best practices and it'll look better. So there's our simple bar graph. And then our last one is this map. So sales by state. So I'll create a new sheet. I'm gonna double click on sales. And this is gonna put a dot in every state where there is data. And then I'm gonna say that I wanna see the sales, and that's gonna go on color because it's a gradient of color for the sales. And I get my map. All right, so now I'm gonna put these onto a dashboard. So these are sheets, and then your sheets are gonna make up your dashboard. So now I get to this screen, and I see all of my different sheets here, and it'll show me little preview windows. So first I'm gonna drag this bar graph, which I should have named, but I didn't. So I'm gonna drag this out. And then I'm gonna drag my line graph in and my map. All right, so there's a quick and dirty dashboard. And now I wanna add that filter that I had so that we can also allow the users to choose what year they wanna see. So then coming here, whoops, it's only connected to, so then we can tell it what to apply to. Oh, that's because I accidentally went back to the old source that I had made the sample off of. So these are on different connections now, but ideally I would have made them all from one connection. we can actually try out the new feature, which is all using related data source, and see if it works. So this is going to take year and look at it across data sources. Nope, doesn't work. All right. I'm surprised. All right, so that is a simple dashboard. Any questions on like dashboarding? Yeah.
I have a question about the map.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that you had the sales by region, like state by longitude and latitude.
Mm-hmm.
Does Tableau support other regional covariates like
Yeah.
zip codes?
So if I go into one of these and go to geographic roles, so these are the different roles that you can assign geographically. And then you can also bring in your own longitude and latitude as well. So if you have like specific addresses, then you can map all of those too. Mm-hmm. Good question. Any other questions? Yeah.
When creating a dashboard, do you consider what data you want first or what the dashboard?
It kind of depends on what your question is. So sometimes people, like, they have a purpose for building the dashboard. They're like, we need to answer these things. And sometimes it's, oh, we have this data, maybe we should do something with it. So it kind of depends on what you already have available or what question you're trying to answer. Anyone else? Okay, so how do you get involved and how do you learn more about Tableau? So you can go to Tableau Public's website, and they have a bunch of different featured visualizations. So they have like a gallery, and it's like their top, I think they call it like greatest vizzes of all time or something. So you can go up there and you can see what other people have created. There's a lot of really cool things that you wouldn't expect actually came from Tableau. So if you like didn't know that they were on Tableau Public, you'd think they made it with a different software. There's also, on those, you can download a lot of them. So if you see something cool, you can download it, and then you can always try to reverse construct it and see, you know, what they were doing. There are Tableau user groups. So like the one that I run in DC, and then like the one that Caesar and Emily do for government. So there's like government and healthcare and nonprofit. So like industry type related user groups, and then also location based. There is the Tableau community, which is really amazing. So there are a lot of people on Twitter. The Tableau community is a very Twitter-based community. A lot of people just post open questions, and people, you know, browsing through Twitter will answer them if they're Tableau questions. There are also different data projects, that are on the Tableau community. So like Makeover Monday and Data Chain and Data Dare. So they're all like different Tableau like community projects that people do together, and then they post all what they've made online. There are a lot of tutorials on the Tableau website. So they actually have over 40 hours of free tutorial videos. So if you go there, there's videos on how to do just about anything in Tableau when you're learning. So that's a great place to start. There are Tableau blogs and books, which you can find just by browsing online. And then you can download Tableau Public or a free trial of Tableau and experiment with it. So just getting in there and using the tool is going to be the best way to learn it. Any questions? That's it.
So next will be Shannon Files talking about Python. And while she's getting set up, I can do a little intro. Well, hopefully the setup goes quick. And so Shannon is a data engineer at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where she manages a data pipeline team. She got her undergraduate degree in IT with a minor in electrical engineering from RIT.
Okay. So I'll just kind of go back and forth talking to everyone. So thank you for the introduction. I am Shannon Files. I'm a data engineer at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And I'm just going to do kind of a light overview of Python and how it's used with data and all the project that I started working on. Kind of see where that's going. So quick overview of Python. It was actually partially named after Monty Python. So that's kind of nagging for everybody. That is truth as far as I know. But it might be better if it could be a legend. Something airspeed of an ugly and swallow. Using data to figure that out would have been cool. So Python is a dynamic interpreted high-level programming language. Interpret being you don't have to compile it like you would Java. It compiles on runtime, and it's also kind of designed to be more flexible and from a human readable standpoint. Just how I started learning Python initially just for fun at home. I used to be more of a Java programmer, and then I started learning the C Python in the shop, so it was kind of really dive into the Python. Nothing kickstarts you learning a programming language like it being the only one available. So why Python? It's a good general purpose programming language. When I was going to school, Java was programming language, and they're moving towards Java as a whole. I think you can use it to help with flight scripting. If there's something that would be hard to do in Linux or Bash, just use files. Make your life a little easier. You could also just do full back-end development, data alerts, et cetera, et cetera. It's friendly for beginners, and I like to say it feels like cheating, but it is not. When to use Python, just kind of going from more of a data perspective. Depending on what you're trying to do, data visualization tools can have limits. Programming gives you flexibility, kind of build your own sandbox universe, but with kind of having that flexibility, some additional complexity on top of it. And then also Python, you can automate. If you get something working really well, you can just automate it. Part of, I think Erin mentioned big into data pipelines, so automating data flows. Yes. From one system to another. Yes. Jupyter Notebooks, so that's something that we'll see hopefully in minutes if everything just works appropriately. It's great for getting started with Python. It's a notebook application that runs in the browser and lets you program, but also see as you're programming, you can execute it, you can run videos in it. I think that's kind of going to end up, if it's not already, kind of the future of teaching just like kids in college how to program. It makes it kind of super easy. I think that's it for the slides. So let's see if we can go right here. So I have a Jupyter Notebook running locally. This is just the front interface that you see. It shows you what's in your directory. Go over here. Bear with me. Can't see. All right, sorry about the top. So just for, I had noticed that I was doing more work at home and not actually doing side projects. So I decided to try to add in something. So federal salaries are available publicly online. So I decided to do analysis on that. So working on the analysis part and see like based on your occupation and your home. Any other fun statistics that we figured out. So I'm just kind of going to roll through this thought process and just in case things didn't work, I kind of made sure this ran ahead of time so you can see the results here. What kind of started this is what. So this is what I ended up scraping. So this data isn't just something that you can download and it's readily available. So I decided that I would scrape the website and get that data. And when you're doing that, you should do it in an ethical way, not spamming their site and constantly feeding it, because they will blacklist you and you will no longer be able to do such things. I did not. So we started playing around and figured out what the URL was so that you could get a more JSON-ish structured data like this. So in Python, I was able to just figure out how to pull that structure. So I started with just kind of doing initial scrape, and that's kind of the initial table structure there. Then I started to try to dig in a little deeper and need to figure out like the total number of records and what the actual fields were that I needed to pull in order to get this to work. Like how many records, how many records did I get per pull? So moving a little farther down the chain, trying to figure out what actually looks when I get data, and you get a list. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to stop me, but let's do questions at the end as well. Just a little more playing with grabbing the data. So here's where it gets a little more interesting. So pandas, there's a couple different tools, and afterwards we'll do sessions if you want to learn more about these libraries. It's just easy to use data structures. One of the big things in pandas is data frames. So I created a data frame with the columns here, and I'm just here printing finish line data, make sure it actually loads. So over here, I wanted to see like what the records look like. These are the first 5 records. I wanted to see more. It's 10. And you can just change that, and now I can get 10 records. I want to see if any of the data changed downstream. I'm also using a module called Bokeh, which is interactive visualization, which is supposed to be in the style of D3, which is a talk about D3, so that hopefully will tie in a fun way. So just to kind of do initial data, get initial slices of the data. So I preloaded a CSV of 110,000 records. I have a Postgres database that this is feeding off of. So this is just kind of my Postgres instance where I generated. Just did in Postgres, you can do a straight copy to a CSV file. You can also load your Postgres database directly with a CSV file at the same command. The nature of this mini demo. So just to do a quick visualization, I did a slice of just 5 records and wanted to create a quick little line graph, occupation, what you made with the salary. So we make sure it actually is there. Please. So this is just a quick little chart that it generates. So you can do quick visualizations. So there's salary and there's occupation. And having the scientific notation that's a little weird, so just go here. In Bokeh, you can turn that off. So it isn't the most ideal way to have your data. Hopefully it loads again. And there it's a little more easy to read. But Python has a lot of different modules like this. It's very modular, so you kind of pick and choose what's most useful for you. Play with analytics and visualization. Usually both pretty quickly. I think that's all I've got. So does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
How do you start with Python? What do you have to start? How do you download it?
So there are a lot of good tutorials out there for like a freshman beginner. There's one that's called How to Learn Python the Hard Way, which is what I usually suggest. And I can also put together a list of these things. But for Windows, depending on your environment, Windows There's for Linux, it's pretty easy to install IPython notebooks. Once you install, usually there's pip. Pip is a Python package manager. So once you install Jupyter notebook, basically get started with that. Windows is pretty easy as well. I think it still has, I think portable Python may still be around, which kind of pre-package install everything you need to run on Windows. Sometimes it isn't as easy.
Is there a difference between versions of Python?
Yes, so Python 2.7 is still a big one, but then Python 3 is more up to date. They've added a lot of features, but certain organizations don't upgrade as fast with newer packages, so they try to keep the old version stable and then encourage people to actually upgrade and install different versions.
Kind of a relative question, because I guess it would depend from individual to individual, but how easy do you think the Python would be for someone who has no coding background absolutely to learn?
My personal thought, and it seems to be just since it's brought up, Python seems to have, programming in general seems to be a thing that there's this notion that it's hard to learn, but I don't think it's hard. It's harder to learn than anything else. There's even being background in school, ended up being a lot of calculus and more like what do you think, like electrical engineering, math, but depending on your occupation, like most of the time I use for analytics is more statistics that I use lately. Not really ever used calculus in that program really. But Python for someone who hasn't used it, I think it's pretty easy to pick up. It's the language I would suggest. The tutorial, one of the tutorials I mentioned, learn Python the hard way. It's the hard way is writing every line out word for word, not actually reading it or copy pasting it, but actually having to write out each and every line. Learn the hard way.
We can get into this later, but still, how do you find that URL to run the data? Like,
I use the browser tools to see what the URL was on the back end that was generated. But yeah, that was cool.
that's really good.
How do you figure out?
Yeah.
Already had a question. How do you figure out? So there's like Pandas library. There are all these like little pieces that once you have Python, people are always like, we'll do this library and this like add-on or this thing that I don't even know what the word means. Like, how do you get started with like which things that aren't just basic Python you should try using?
There's something called Anaconda, which is a bit for data science, and it has all these modules kind of installed as part of it, but also you can just kind of choose one and then start there. And then when you realize that, like Pandas, you have the data frame, you can play with kind of data lunging and then you want to add visualizations. So you can go and see what modules work well for data visualization, just add one at a time. Also, when it gets to be long sometimes, so Python has no requirements file that you can use the same. This one. And if you were to ask someone, if you want to run my code, they could just install that entire list of modules instead of having to do one by one themselves.
So just looking through your 10-minute presentation, it looks like Python is very similar to SAS, and that's looking through SAS. And the coding, some of it looked like it could be similar to SAS coding. Do you think Python is going to take over SAS or replace SAS, or your thoughts?
Not entirely sure. I mean, I think it's more of like a separate option. I don't know if it'll take over necessarily, but I think it'll just be something that choose.
You mentioned the different modules. Are there standard modules for certain fields? For instance, is there standard or more popular modules for mathematics? science versus say social science and economics that we were to go and say, okay, if we were to know science technology, this is some of the most popular ones, just like for uniform.
Yeah. So when you initially start with Python, I think it's all their default practice. But for data science, there's, so pandas is one for dealing with data. There's scikit-learn, and I can kind of go over some short these. Let's see, there's Bokeh is a little less known, I think, but there's matplotlib, of course, really well with pandas to visualize that data. Did that answer?
Yes.
So I'm trying to learn Python through like free sources like Academy,
Okay.
but and I really like how they walk through each thing, but I think I'm having trouble with understanding how it can be applied to a larger like data set. So are there any sources out there? Because I know like you went to those great like, is there something that, is there a online tutorial that walks you through or tries to like step one, download Linux or something? Is there anything more overview that gives you everything?
There are a few. So there's tutorials that, and it might be a sequence of them. So you start with one that maybe going over the things of the language, and there's a, when you got more comfortable after you set up your environment. There's, I think one is called PyData 101, which is a series of Python notebooks, like the one I just showed, that kind of it's basically kind of an interactive textbook. What you're learning and then the code that's actually being executed. So yes, there are, and I can try to point in the direction. So.
There's also, it's an O'Reilly book, but it's data wrangling with Python. It walks you through like the basics. Actually, I have the PDF, but it teaches you the basics on how to store the data and how to use APIs and like how to present it.
I think that might be also this one of the same guys that does the PyData 101.
I think there's a
Awesome, thanks. Sorry for the weird demo there. That's fine. That's a good computer.
Prior to Aquicore, Caitlin worked as a technical consultant and software developer at Deloitte, and her projects included work at the United States Department of Treasury, as well as at Deloitte's Insight Studio, a rapid prototyping studio for data analytics and visualization. Caitlin is born and raised in the DC area and studied commerce and computer science at the University of Virginia. In her free time, she enjoys running, hiking, and visiting local wineries.
As a fun fact for us, Campbell. So I guess I just plugged this in. Hold on. How did you get yours to work? The HDMI. Oh. Thanks. Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin. I am a software engineer now at a DC-based startup, and I've used D3 a bunch in my current work and then also in my previous work at my last job. So as soon as I can figure out, here we go. And at my last job, I guess I'll mention real quick, I was working in sort of like a data analytics studio where we were doing data visualization and analytics using Tableau, data science, and custom web development. So I've kind of had a good mix of the three and see what projects those were good for and what projects those were sort of like not a great fit for. So that was an interesting way to use data. I'm going to go through D3 real quick, but before I get started, how many of you guys have experience with front-end web development for like HTML, JavaScript, CSS? Few people? Okay. How many people have used D3 before? Anyone? How many of you have heard of D3? Okay. Okay, cool. So, what is D3? D3 stands for Data-Driven Documents. It's a JavaScript library, an open source JavaScript library. You can find it online. Anyone can download it. It's free. Anyone can use it. Anyone can contribute to it, and anyone can edit it to use their purposes. And it is a data visualization library. It uses HTML, SVG, and CSS to visualize your data. So it's super flexible. You can do anything you want with it. It's just an extension on top of JavaScript, which is a programming language. It's not a proprietary tool where you're sort of limited to the things that you can drag and drop into your dashboard. So benefits of D3, I went into these a little bit already, but it's completely reusable. There's a huge community online of people that use D3, make cool visualizations, and share them online with the source code if they want other people to be able to do that too. And that's probably one of the best things about D3 is anything that you probably want to use it for, someone's done something very, very similar already, and you can get sort of like 75% of the way with that. Completely customizable, like I mentioned before. You can take a standard visualization, customize it with CSS, HTML, anything that you want it to do for you. It's dynamic, so it's easy to manipulate data, interact with the visualization itself. D3 is most often used sort of to add visualizations to your custom web application or to your website itself. And so if you have some data that you want to show in a creative way and you want to put it on your website, that's when you use D3, I think, for the best way. It's also no cost, like I mentioned earlier. It's open source, it's free, so anyone can get it. So this slide sort of tries to explain how D3 plays in with like front-end web development. So HTML is the way I like to explain this is like the content and structure of your web page is in HTML. So if I have a page, it has a text box and it has a heading. HTML is going to be where I specify a tag for my heading and a tag for my input box. CSS is a styling language. So I say I want my heading to be red. And so in the CSS, I put, text color red. That's CSS. JavaScript controls the behavior of your page. So if I have a button on my page and when I click the button, the title changes from red to blue, JavaScript is where I code the button to tell it, hey, when this is clicked, you need to change the text color to blue. And then finally, SVG is an image format that helps support the interactivity and animation of your D3 visualization. So you can put your SVG image on your web page, and that's what your D3 image is going to be. It's a little hard to explain if you don't have a ton of knowledge in programming, but that's sort of like it at a very high level. So I'm gonna jump out of this real quick and go into how I've used D3 in my work at my current job. So this is Aquicore, the software that we make. And basically what Aquicore does is it's a metering and submetering. We take metering and submetering data for a commercial building. So like this building has a bunch of electricity and we want to monitor its consumption in real time. So I have a device that sends us data to our platform that's attached to a bunch of different places in the building where electricity is coming through. And I want to be able to see all the meters that I have in my building and to sort of manage them on the platform. And so what we originally had in the platform was this visualization, which doesn't look bad when you look at it itself, but the way that it was written on the back end was very hard to add and delete meters when you were like editing this. So when we switched to D3, basically the way we did it is we went to the D3 website. And I was like, okay, I want to be able to visualize a hierarchy of different meters that I have in my system. So we found this dendrogram library that looks kind of similar to what we had there. If you scroll down, you can see that I got an HTML file, some sample data to go for my visualization. So all I had to do was take the D3 library, which is one JavaScript file, take this sample code, and sort of customize it to have the look and feel that our software has. And then you can see that it's got tooltips if you need to look at more information. It's got interactivity if I want to drill down into more details. And so that's just like a simple example of how I've used D3. Let me go back to my slideshow. So that's most of what I wanted to cover here. I have some links on here of easy ways that you can get started if you want to get started with D3. I have the official site here, d3js.org. Square Tutorials is it's a really, really short tutorial if you just have like half an hour you want to spend on like, okay, what is this? That's a pretty good one. And then this D3 generator is this is pretty cool. So this is a drag and drop interface that will, let me go back to the beginning. So you just click use it now. And you drag and drop data in here and you can sort of play around with various data that you just have and you want to kind of look for. So these are all D3 visualizations that they built out here. So I say I want to make a dendrogram. Once you select it, you sort of do your mapping here. So I actually don't know if this is going to be the best visualization for this. Yeah, nope. Let's do, you know what, I had a better example here. Pivoting real quick to the National UFO Reporting Center. So normally when I have more time to do this demo, I'll walk through a couple of examples where you guys can get your laptops out and actually make a visualization yourself. So the coolest data set that I've found so far to use this is UFO data, naturally. They've actually they have a hotline that's maintained 24/7. You guys can call the UFO reporting station whenever you want when you see a UFO, and they'll record it in their database. So we've got each month here UFO sightings, and they're categorized by date, time, city, state, the shape, the duration, a summary of the sighting, and when it was recorded in the system. So what I did for my demo is I took just a sample month of data, and I did a little bit of cleansing to get the day of the week it was spotted, the hour it was spotted, and then how many were spotted there for just one typical month. Because I wanted to see, okay, like what time of the week are aliens like most active, you know, if I want to go and see one. So I put that into D3 and I did a circle dendrogram chart, so we can see it here. So this is really fast. If you want more information about how to do this, I have like commented code with like instructions. I can give it to you later. But this is just a simple circular heat map here, and you can click on the day and time to see how many sightings. So Saturday night at, what is this? Military time, 9 p.m. Thank you, math. Saw 18 sightings. So you can see that Saturday night and Friday night are sort of the most popular times, and Thursday a little bit too, are the most popular times for UFO sightings. Yeah. So another thing I could do is I could take this, I can copy this data here, I can plop it into raw, and let's do circles. So I want to do a hierarchy by day and then by time, and I want to have the size of the bubbles be the number of UFOs that I'm seeing, and I want to do the color by the count. So we can see here we have little bubbles. It doesn't have the labels here, but oh yeah, it does. Here we go. Saturday, the biggest times are 8 and 9 p.m. And then you can go and you can export the code here, and this will just give me the SVG image. So that was about all I wanted to cover. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yes.
How easy or feasible is this for not super confident / beginning programmers to use? Would you say like raw, like do I need to know anything other than how to like edit other people's code, or like what is the proficiency level someone can have to use these things?
Yeah, so it varies a lot. D3 itself, I wouldn't say is the most intuitive library that I've ever seen in JavaScript. But it's really, there are so many code examples out there online that like you can take something and put in your own data and you should be able to get something looking like pretty good pretty easily. It's when you want to take it and you want to add something custom that is when it gets pretty hard. You have to look through documentation and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, how do you add like filtering and any of that kind of like, really slicing and dicing of the data?
Yeah, so it depends on your data source. D3 can do a lot of manipulation on the front end of your data, but the way that you're pulling it from your database, depending on the way that you're doing that, it can be really slow or really quick. So the filtering is sort of gonna have to like correspond to how you're like interacting with your data on the back end and how much data you have too. Yes.
Can D3 aggregate your data, or would you recommend you aggregate it on the database level?
D3 is pretty good at aggregating and manipulating your data for you. So if you want to take an example from the website and just like straight drop in your data and your data is not quite in the right format, it might be easier for you if you're a beginner to format it yourself in Excel or something and then put it in. But like once you get a hang of like a lot of the things that D3 can do, it can do a lot of manipulation for you. All right.
Does it connect well with the live data?
How so? Like
Database itself.
yeah, I mean it's again, I think it depends on how you're using it. So like the only way that I've ever used it is just like adding a visualization to a web application that I'm already working on. So the way that the web app is getting the data is like sort of already set, and then D3 is just like a front end framework that we're applying to that. Yeah, it's not going to slow your front end down much. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Woo!